Well, hello. Welcome to Coffee with the Councilors. This is our August meeting. We have some people in the audience and we have some people joining us on Zoom. So let's get started. What we're going to do is go around and find out what people want to talk about, and then we'll go ahead and you can go talk about what it is you want to talk about. So I'm Nancy McCarthy, and this is Robin Risley, in case you don't know who we are, which is, I would doubt that would be the problem. But anyway, let's get started. Today we have in the audience, I forgot your name, Mindy. Can't I remember that? Mindy. Yes, we have Ginny Wright and we have Melissa Cadwallader in the audience today. So Betty, why don't we start with you? What would you like to talk about? And you're on mute.
I was just going to listen today, and if anybody brings something up that I would like to talk about, I'd like to chime in if possible. That's about it. Okay,
that sounds good. Betsy, welcome. And you are on mute.
Yes, got it. Okay. I don't know. Maybe a couple more years of this, I'll get it figured out. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully that won't be happening. And I'll see you all in person one of these days.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Anyway, yeah. Gosh, I don't know. I just, I guess I don't really have anything all that specific to talk about, except that I'm a little anxious about the miscommunication, and this doesn't really, I don't know, well, it's something that concerns me. I wish that there was a way to have a forum where people weren't just like taking sides over the prepared food tax, and we could really sit down and, you know, without getting in people's faces, really understand their concerns, especially people who's seem to be being convinced, I think wrongly, that their tips will go down if this tax passes. And as someone who owns affordable rental housing that service people live in on month to month, I'm just very concerned that I don't really want to raise their rents. Because I don't think they're paid very well to begin with. But if we end up having to provide the services that the city so badly needs with this tax, and the fire department with this tax, and it fails, I'm anxious about my property taxes going up, because I really, A, don't want to pay any more money myself, and B, I don't want to pass that expense on to the people that I rent to. That's my concern today.
Okay. Jessica, welcome. And you're on mute.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. I just found out last night about this meeting because I was writing a big long letter, so I thought I'd come to the meeting. And I need to talk to you again about the very, very unexciting topic of garbage. Okay, and it's been over a year since I attended a meeting, and that was one of my primary concerns last year, and it is even more of a concern this year. So whenever you want me to talk about it, that would be great. Thanks.
Okay, sounds good. Deb, hello. And you are muted.
Good morning, everybody.
Unmute. Okay, I'm unmuted now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a minute, Dale. We will get to you, Dale. Okay, Deb, go ahead.
How many people are in this meeting this morning?
Oh, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 so far. And then we have a telephone as well. We have Jan on the telephone.
Okay, I also want to talk about the food tax, because I had a few questions about that. So I don't know when you want to file that in.
Okay.
Same with
All right.
Betsy, kind of the same topic.
Okay, Richard. And you are mute.
There. I have nothing to talk about other than good morning, and I will listen.
All right. And Dale, your turn.
Hi there. Sorry, I misunderstood earlier. That's why I jumped in. I have of course my audio through the computer, and it's not perfect. So I thought you were calling on Dale. So I just was gonna
I
listen in
understand.
and see what was discussed, but there's nothing on my mind really. So you guys just carry on, and I'll listen. Okay.
All right, sounds good. Jan, hello. And you are on mute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, I wondered if we could talk a bit about the COVID spread in our community.
okay. And Mindy,
Yes, so I would like to talk about short-term rentals and in specifically how that 14 days is figured.
okay. We've got quite the agenda today. And Ginny,
That same thing, but the violations, and I'll have to start off by saying Travis done an amazing job. He's been so responsive when I've contacted him, and he's come over early in the morning and sent people there on the days he's not working. But I guess I'm just kind of concerned about what happens when there's been a lot of violations. And when I looked on the 28-page packet they get, it doesn't actually list any consequences on there. So is everyone aware of what the consequences are? So that's my concern.
okay. And Melissa,
I'd like to talk about eucalyptus trees.
okay.
Could I have an information question? Where's the camera? Do we talk with our back shown or?
So the camera's up there, yes.
So
So they see you're the back of your head.
thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And Rick's on.
And Rick is on. And I think Rick is going to talk to us about the COVID situation. Is that right, Rick? And you are on mute. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I must have been logged onto the same account that is being used right now to stream this. So sorry about being late.
It's okay.
A couple of things I wanted to get out. I've sent out a couple of bulletins recently about the COVID in our county and in our area. Recently, we've had a massive spike since July 4th. We've had 230 cases of COVID. And just since Thursday, we've had 42 cases of COVID in Clatsop County. I have been in touch with public health and other agencies to find out the best direction to push elements there. And what they told me was this: people are kind of misusing the COVID testing, and they're using COVID testing instead of getting vaccinations. And that's really starting to hamper their ability to continue to COVID test, to do the testing processes. And so their goal, the only thing that's going to work really is to push vaccinations and to continue it. So they do have a pop-up vaccination here on Wednesday in Cannon Beach. It's going to be at Haystack Gardens from 4 to 7 p.m. And I've already given that already to Rusty to put on our website and to get out. So that's one thing that we're hoping to see happen, is that we just continue to get vaccinations and provide vaccination opportunities here in Cannon Beach. And also they've increased vaccination clinics in Seaside and Astoria. So that's the only real direction for this to work out, is more people need to get vaccinated so they're less vulnerable. I did put out a video over the weekend to really kind of put a best education on the breakout cases that are happening, and people are a little bit misunderstood of what that means. And there's a certain amount of percentage of people that are going to get COVID even though they're vaccinated. And it's a small percentage. Right now it's at 8%, and that's what's to be expected. Versus the people that are unvaccinated, 80% of them are going to get COVID. So hopefully everybody had a chance to see that video. We put it on our website and on Facebook, and I sent it out to the community as best possible. At the clinic on Wednesday, they are going to have Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson as an offered vaccine that they can take, and you don't have to make an appointment. You can just show up. And we'll try to work with the Chamber of Commerce a little bit more to get that word out as best possible.
Rick, can you talk about the COVID cases around Cannon Beach? I understand there's a few breakouts.
Well, there's been breakout cases in Cannon Beach for the past few weeks. And necessarily, it's not really coming from the people that are residents of Cannon Beach necessarily, just because we have a very high percentage of people that are vaccinated right now. It's not, and it's also not just the tourists coming in. It is the population that is working here in our hospitality industry and in our own city. So it has been popping up and it's been pushing through our community as same as it has been in Clatsop County. I don't have any specifics on individuals that I would care to talk about or even mention about restaurants or anything like that. So if you're looking for that answer, I'm not the person to talk to. That'd be public health.
Do you have a question, Robin?
Well, I have heard that the city has had some issues there.
Well, and that's a question for Bruce.
Bruce.
We've had some people that are related to people where there might have been a spreader event and they have been infected, have tested positive. We've modified our public work schedule so that nobody works together. They're all working separately to try to improve that situation. And that's it. The folks that have been affected are either doing well or are experiencing flu-like symptoms. But it was at one of those locations that several people became ill.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Rick?
Not when it comes to COVID, other than we're hoping more people come out that have not had a chance to get vaccinated on Wednesday. You can't make it easier for people to get vaccinated. You're bringing it right to their front door, giving them advertisement and making it as easy and simple as possible, even with multiple vaccines available at that opportunity. And I just stress to people is, that is the answer to moving forward. Not everybody can get a vaccine, but overall it is readily available for them to do that. So that's about all I have for you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mindy and Ginny are talking about short-term rentals.
I have texted Jeff because it's one of those mysteries of the universe, and I really don't want to venture out there. I think I understand it, but I don't want you to give you bad information. But the way, like I said, I've asked Jeff to come over. I don't know if he's over there, but some people call it a twice a month, but it's really not. What it is, I think it's that you're separated let me see. Your folks left on this Sunday, 14 days later.
No, it's from their first day of rent, I believe.
It's from the day of arrival is what is
Right.
going on next meeting.
I don't know. I think it's from the end to the.
No, it's from the beginning.
It's from the beginning.
Yeah, it's from the beginning.
Okay, well, I'd like the guy that understands it, I've asked him to come over.
And there are penalties.
What are they?
Well, there are penalties for the people who are renting the house to others.
Well, I know.
Yeah. And I don't remember off
There's
the,
different phases of where, if it's the first time,
Right.
second time, that type of thing. And I can't remember what they specifically are, but it does get extensive. I know we had someone I was doing that got up to $8,000.
Well, and that makes sense because my neighbor who's renting for $650 a night.
Yeah.
And she's just started. She's had 2 months. And I think she's only going to do it for the summer. So by the time we get to her, obviously she'll probably be closed down. But for the month of June, she rented 4 different times. And in July, 4 times. Already in August, she's on her 5th renter. And it's only the 15th or 16th. So
that's really wrong.
I just think the fine should be high because she's making so much money.
Well, then you also get suspended and you lose your license, that type of thing. It's all kind of a stair-step approach.
Right. So, and like I said, Travis is doing a great job. And really, it's a program that should be able to pay for itself because, the fine should be big enough to hire the officers to. take care of the problem. And I know Mindy's problem is different. Her renters are partying and.
Yeah, so what seems to happen is it's 14 days, or the way she's running it, from the day when they arrive. So she had a group in for 2 weeks. She came out and cleaned and then immediately put another group in there for another 10 to 12 days. And then she came out and cleaned and immediately put another group in there. So I work from home, I'm a writer and then I'm a high school teacher. And so I'm living next to like a lot of not coming and going so much, just a lot of, I'm in North Laurel and we're all owner occupied. It's just a lot of like chaos right there next to me when you've got like 6 weeks now of constant renters. And the way I understood it was that there should have been 14 days in between, but I guess that's not how it goes.
I don't think.
No,
Well,
it's once every 14 days.
yeah. It depends on how it is. You can't, I don't remember because I thought it got altered right after we were done doing it, but it used to be, yeah, that there was, there's Travis. There goes Travis. But yeah, they would be the ones that would know what the requirement is between. I just know you can't do back-to-back rentals. And if they're running it 5 times a month, that's
right.
Unless they're on
a violation of 14-day rule.
Unless they have a 5-year permit and then you can rent it every night if you want to.
Right,
But
she just got hers.
yeah,
so
and we
that's
quit
not-
the 5-year permit a couple of years ago, so it probably
Well,
doesn't.
Like Mindy, our neighborhood is all owner occupied too, and we just hate to see people see the dollar signs,
Yeah.
coming in and the second homeowner saying, well, hey, let's do that.
Yeah. Here's Jeff. I'm sure he has a PowerPoint or something.
Jeff always has a PowerPoint.
There's Betsy up there, raising her hand.
All right. And what's the question?
Oh, for me, I guess I just wanted to say, Mindy and Jenny, this is what happens when a residential zone has a business running right next door to it, and it's not in a motel zone. This is a big problem with rentals in our community. Is the idea of land use planning was to be able to have residential communities, and I think personally that it's kind of stretching the definition of residential when someone is running a business next door to your home.
You explain the ordinance for
the timeline,
the 14 days.
Okay, so yeah, and so if somebody checks, if they have the 14-day, what happens if somebody comes in on, let's say, the 2nd, then they cannot rent out that until 14 days has expired after that. So then the next available day would be the 17th.
And does it start over every month or does it continue?
Just continues, yeah.
And what is there a warning that people get if they're doing this incorrectly?
Yes, so they have an audit. And so what we do is they have to turn in their rental registration, and we then verify that, go over each one of the audits that comes in, and with that, they get violations. Yeah. So
how many violations do they need before a management company would be an option to step in and help or have their permit taken away?
They'll get notification, immediately on that after that first audit. So then you have, I think it's 5. I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I think it's 5 until they're, pretty much that's it. And
how often are the audits?
Well, we have yearly audits, but we also will rotate, and we can, if we get responses or complaints or whatever, we can also inspect. We have that ability as well. So
like my neighbor who just started, she really should have only had 3 renters, but if you even go on her Airbnb site, she has 5 reviews. So it's obvious she's had more renters.
Well, there's also a form a complaint form that you can fill out.
Like I said, they're doing great. It's a daily thing. And, like this morning, well, the cars are all gone. So, and I know my photos aren't helpful in court, even though they're helpful just to keep track of it all.
Yeah.
Calendar. I'm a teacher. I have a color-coded calendar.
You're keeping your own calendar, huh?
Yeah.
That's always helpful, getting all that documentation.
Yeah, and that's what I would just refer you to the code enforcement page.
Right.
Do that, fill that out, and that's how we can keep an eye on it. And we'll follow up on it.
Right. And it's not that I'm complaining about their I mean, quieter probably than the usual residents, but it's just the point of it. We don't want that to become a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
And then I just have one other question to tag along with this, and I brought this up before about the fire pits and the burn permits. And so now it looks like I got a burn permit for mine, and it looks like that's required. And she has a fire pit next door, and her current renters right now have been doing fires the last couple nights. So is there any way to check? Like, does she need should they have a burn permit? It makes me a little nervous. It's all back by the green stuff.
And this is in a residence?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
next door to town.
Well, it goes through the fire department. I think the fire chief's still trying to figure out the permitting for it, if it's required or not, because they don't have any requirements. We like people to call us because it saves the fire department and us time. If there's a call of smoke, we know it's a controlled burn and that they're doing it. So yeah, we always recommend people to get them just so we can notify the fire department or the police if we get a call that there's smoke showing at some residence that it's supposed to be.
Okay, so if I'm concerned and I see it and like I call you guys.
Yeah, we can certainly come over and we can bring a form with us too.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You might be getting the calls.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We just had an added guest, Rick Gray. Hi, Rick.
Hey there, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Sorry, I just thought I'd drop by and get a cup of coffee, and
That's good.
that lasts a while.
All right. And Rick, you want to talk about parking enforcement, right?
Well, yeah, we've had the surveys on traffic and on parking, and I think I'm not the only person to notice that town's getting awfully crowded the last couple of years, and that the season has kind of disappeared. And I will say frankly that it's my feeling that we need to be encouraging the people who come and stay for the night, but not so much the people who come down for the day, pack a lunch, and don't really spend any money here. And that seems to be where the problem is coming from. I mean, I don't blame them. It gets hot in Portland. It's going to keep getting hot in Portland. It's going to get hotter in Portland. A couple of years ago, there was smoke in the mountains. So I'm sympathetic. At the same time, we're a really small town in Portland. This is a growing megalopolis, and we can't take them all. So I think we need to start focusing on parking, not just as a problem in and of itself, but also as a means to control how many people come.
Okay. You had some questions of Jason, right?
I did, yeah. Hi. Hi there. Rick.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. I understand it's been a while since we raised parking fines.
Yes, it has.
Do you happen to know how long it's been?
I've been here 9 years and they haven't raised them, but they're at $25 now.
Yes. And I have heard that there are a lot of people who come down here who can't find a place and just stick the car anywhere and say $25 is pretty cheap.
Some of them are pretty creative.
Yes. I believe me, I noticed this. And I know you have the kids out on bikes and they're doing their best, but what can you do? You can give more, you can write a ticket, and $25 is not much to pay for all day parking.
And a lot of people say that.
Yeah, but because they're right. It's cheap, and I feel like that's a problem, but also I mean, the cheap amount that we charge, but also just that we give away all day parking. I mean, that's a great deal. You come down here and you park for the day, and it doesn't cost you anything. You park legally for the day, and it doesn't cost you anything. And it also seems to me that there's a problem with, I don't know. Before I bought a house here, when I came to town, I used to stay in Tullibon. And if you want to go downtown and shop, that's a bit of a hike, especially if you buy anything that needs to be carried back. And there's almost there really isn't very much parking at all for people who just want to be in town for a couple of hours to get a meal or go to the galleries or go to the shops and stuff like that. So it strikes me that maybe we should be starting to differentiate, have some like 2-hour spots. And then charge for the all-day spots, charge a significant amount for the all-day spots, but charge a lot more for parking creatively. I like that. That's really good. Parking creatively. Yeah, but that should be a ticket offense. With a decent whack on it so that people get the message that this is a problem. And the parking, the idea of having 2-hour parking, I think, for me, would be, to encourage the people who come and stay for a few nights or for the week to come into town, shop. We have some really beautiful shops here, but you can't get to them. And on a bad day, you really, there's no way to get to them unless you want to park creatively. So that's my.
Okay. All right. Well, we have the transportation. I know that we have the transportation study and the parking survey.
I
And
filled in both of them. And I wrote really long comments.
Yeah. And I suggested that you look at the website to see what the responses were to.
I will do so.
Yeah, I think very interesting for all of you. The transportation study is going on. The city is doing a transportation study. We did a parking survey, had some very interesting results from that parking survey, and they're all on the website under its own page, transportation study plan.
I noticed there were some graphs in there. So
And
it's trying to.
Interesting.
I'm always having a hard time deciphering graphs.
Yeah.
So how they divided up between visitors and workers and locals, that was interesting.
That was interesting. I guess the main thing for me is just that if we look at parking just as a problem, then it's a problem. If we look at it as a part of the solution to other problems, it might be, it's just more productive.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about garbage. Jessica, it's your turn. And you're on mute.
I know, I'm crocheting. What else is new, right? Okay, I'm kind of out of a loop with a lot of the topics you're talking about, but I am directly affected by them. I live on Adams Street. I've lived here since 1968. So I've been here a long, long time, and I've seen a lot of things, but I got to tell you, last year, I think it was June, several of us, Betsy was there, a couple other people, I don't know you, Betty, Gearin, I think you were at the meeting, Zoom meeting, and we talked about garbage, and things have not gotten better. I wouldn't say they've gotten worse, but I'm a person who walks. I walk and I ride my bike because I'm very well located. And I live on Adams Street, and every day I go to the beach, usually at sunset or low tide. And every time I walk down the little dune to go to the beach, there is a doggy bag there, 1 or 2. And I've started picking them up because I can't leave it there. And so yesterday I went down to the beach and there's still a doggy bag, and I thought I'm going to leave it there and see if anybody else picks it up because I can't do it anymore. So anyway, I walked down the dune, and to the right, there were all these, those red plastic Solo cans. There were about 20 of them covering empty beer bottles. This was about 7:00 p.m. last night. And there were plastic bags all over. There had been a beach fire. The night before, my friends and I had a beach fire just adjacent to that. And we were there till about midnight. And of course, we clean up everything. So I don't know where those people came from, but the other people that were down there said it's been there all day. So I ended up picking it up, and I'm just, I do my part. I don't mind picking up garbage here and there. I've always done that. My mom has done it her whole life. She just doesn't have a park named after her. And I don't want to toot my horn. I don't want people seeing me do it because I don't want people to think that there's someone who cleans up after them. And for the most part, people are pretty good. But the thing is, we've got a pandemic going on, and I'm picking up stuff that other people have handled, and I use a little doggy bag as kind of a glove, but I always forget to carry a bag because I always think I won't have to pick up garbage this and it got to the point, it's gotten to the point where I don't even want to walk on the beach anymore. I started walking in the woods, and I'm the only one out there, so it's clean. And anyway, I just wanted to say that last year there was a lot of talk about getting garbage cans, and I mentioned that I'm not promoting my street, but we have got 2 hotels on my street and 2 to 4 rentals, depending on short-term rentals, depending on the year. And actually, I watched some family who was staying at a vacation rental on Ocean. For 2 weeks, I watched them build a fire in the dunes, leave their garbage there. And I know the vacation rental. I know who the guests would be based on the date. I didn't take any pictures because I don't take my camera, but it's not necessarily day trippers. So I don't want to necessarily blame them. And then there's a townhouse next to me that's in a residential zoned area. It was commercial, now it's residential. There's no local management. And I have to call the police at least twice a year. They were having a kegger in the driveway. And I watched them take their garbage down or go have their party on the beach and leave their garbage there. And again, I didn't take any pictures because I know it's not going to do any good. So we can't change people's behavior, but one of the things we talked about is that there would be more garbage cans. So in a 10-block area from First Street to Harrison, there are 3 garbage cans on Ocean, and that hasn't changed. There should definitely be one at Elk Run Park because there's tons of parking there, and I'm always picking up garbage there. And I'm I'll put a little bow on this. Nothing has changed, and the behavior hasn't changed, so we have to do something. Okay.
Bruce, do you have anything you'd like to say about that?
We had more garbage cans made. We have 5 more on order. And I was just asking if we've been planning on installing more on Ocean or where else we put them. So as a result of a conversation we had here, I asked Public Works Director to take a look and go through and just like consider what can we do with garbage to do a better job. And so we have ordered the additional cans. It is a real problem when the garbage stays out on the beach. There's one thing when people go ahead and pick up and then they don't have a can to drop it in. We can control that. But as far as leaving stuff out, I see it myself. But let me find out. I'm just texting, so I'll get some answers.
And Betty, I know you have been real concerned about litter and garbage. Do you have suggestions about where additional cans can be put?
Well, I'd love one at the top, the end, right at the top of the beach on Washington, because there's lots of dog bags left there and trash. I think it's unfortunate because either they leave it there or they leave it beside their car, which is a lot of times parked in front of my house. They'll just leave their dog bag there or they'll leave their trash there. It's so sad to me because this is such a beautiful place. I love the mask signs that we have that are friendly and talk about us all doing our part. And I'm thinking maybe that would be a way for us to get people to be more concerned about the beauty they're coming to see. It's just, I don't know, it's just gobsmacking to me. So,
I think if you have, what's that?
I don't have any answers either.
Yeah, I think if you have suggestions about where to put the newly ordered cans, please contact Bruce or Karen to let them know where you think you've seen a lot of litter that needs to be picked up. These cans available.
Hey, Jessica, one thing I wanted to touch on, you had talked about you don't take photos. I'd encourage you to take photos and send them in to us or just a general email to the PD with the photos, especially if the people who are littering down there are in the photos. We certainly can use that as follow-up because a lot of those people will come back and keep doing it. And also those are things we can post on our website or on I Love Cannon Beach so that the word gets out that we're watching for it and it will help people keep an eye on it.
Well, I don't like to do policing, and that to me seems like it's policing. Also, my camera is very expensive. I just bought a new phone. I don't want to get sand in it. I don't carry it to the beach. I've got a dog and I'm too busy cleaning up after other people. So I appreciate that, but I just, you know, I hate doing that kind of stuff. I really do. And maybe I could get a tourist to do it, because I've been talking to them directly. Like I was carrying a bunch of garbage yesterday and there was a family and I said, do you have a wet wipe? And then I just kind of gave a little thing and kind of hint. And most people, like I said, are really, really good. So I appreciate that. But if I happen to have my camera, I'll do it. But so
Maybe ask them to send a photo of themselves to the police.
there you go. Yeah, I know. I just wanted to mention one more thing. There is a fire pit in the dunes in between Jefferson and Madison, and it's these same people that were staying at Cannon Beach Vacation Rentals. The house with the really big windows in between those streets, the one where you look in the window and you can see yourself during the day. I'm not blaming the property management. I was going to call them and say, you know, your guests have built a fire pit in the dunes. I watched them do it, and the charcoals are still there. And, you know, again, when you don't have residents living on the main street or walking up, Ocean, walking back and forth, who kind of do community policing and say, hey, there's a fire in the dunes here. Stuff doesn't happen. And I was going to go back after dark and watch the fire and then call the fire department. But, you know, I don't want to have, that's not where my mind goes. I want to enjoy my life here, and as long as I have it here. So anyway, I maybe will try and get somebody else to take a picture or call the fire department. Thanks.
We'll let Trevor know and they can dismantle the fire pit.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Melissa, Eucalyptus Trees.
I just wanted to bring, this is just an FYI type thing. Eucalyptus trees are trees that are non-native. It's an Australian tree, very fast growing. I'm a big tree supporter. I know Cannon Beach is a tree city. I've been very involved in the Forest Reserve acquisition and master plans over the years. I value trees. I know how important they are for carbon sequestration. But I think just as an educational piece, this community is not aware of eucalyptus trees because we don't have many. I happen to live on East Jackson Street. And at the corner of East Jackson and Elm, there's a wonderful eucalyptus tree that was probably planted 20 to 40 years ago. That tree, as I said, they are very fast growing. They leave an enormous amount of detritus or biomass or whatever you want to call the stuff that comes from a tree. They peel their bark. Their bark is very long strip. The trees are very dry. They also intrinsically have a high oil content. If you're familiar with the smell of Vicks, that's a eucalyptus tree. Has a high content of eucalyptus oil. I lived in the Oakland, Berkeley area, and 30 years ago, 300 homes were wiped out and 25 deaths resulted in a fire in that area, in the border between Oakland and Berkeley, in the East Bay Hills of Northern California. The result of that devastation was hot east winds and the number of eucalyptus trees that had been planted over the years on that hillside, because as I said, they're very fast growing and they had been brought in to do that. I think we all have our consciousness raised about the difficulties of wildfires these days. Because I live on East Jackson, as I mentioned, there is this wonderful testimony of a eucalyptus tree. If anybody is interested in going by and seeing it, I am a poor judge of vertical heights after a couple of stories. I would say it's at least 4 or 5 stories tall. An enormous trunk from which comes several other enormous trunks. I have sent an email to the city managers that are having the coffee today, as well as to, excuse me, the council members who are having the coffee today, as well as the single city manager, and also to the disaster manager, who I know is very concerned about tsunamis and wildfires. The big tree, I understand the owner's plan to have that tree cut. I talked to them 10 or 15 years ago when I was on council, and at that point they said, well, you know, it's so big, we'd have to go through all these things. The city probably wouldn't allow us. I know there's nothing on the ordinance that picks out eucalyptus trees. However, I've recently learned that in the last couple of years, one of our local resident landscapers who has a rental property 2 doors up from mine, Mike Morgan, has planted a eucalyptus tree in a corner of his rental property. That tree is still quite small. I, in fact, talked to Mike on the phone, raised the issue of my concern with that tree in terms of the size it was going to grow, the detritus it was going to leave, and what a living tiki torch it really is, particularly based on my experience of having lived in an area that suffered such devastations. I was hoping as a good neighbor he would consider it. He said he has no interest in removing it. He said he'll keep it pruned. I think that's like trying to take the wolf out of your mixed breed dog. However, he also refers to the coastal coolness that Cannon Beach has compared to the Bay Area. I live part-time in the Oakland area currently. I can tell you it's very similar to what we have. I do a 2-mile walk every morning usually, and I get about as wet as I got this morning on my 2-mile walk. Moisture in coastal areas do not keep eucalyptus trees from turning into torches. So I just wanted to provide that opportunity to the city about what a danger a eucalyptus tree can be in terms of fire hazard. The original emails that I sent to councilors and city staff include some photos that show the detritus around that existing tree at Elm and East Jackson. That detritus was a result of 1 week's droppings. We have another local landscaper who cleans up that yard every week. And I know that what I photographed is just the result of 1 week. So just again, as an educational piece, anybody that has any questions, I am here to answer them because I know it's a tree we don't have on every block, thank God. And I know we're a tree city. And again, as I say, I'm very supportive of the importance of trees in our society, but eucalyptus trees should not be here.
I don't know, is there anything that can be done about prohibiting certain trees from growing, from being planted here?
I believe council could make that sort of a decision and make it part of the code, but I'm not positive on that.
Is that something that Jeff, we should discuss with Jeff?
Yes.
Or Jeff or Karen, I suppose, either one.
Yes.
So we'll put that on the agenda maybe.
Nancy, it could be that eucalyptus trees are specifically a very, you know, like you say, they're kind of like a tiki torch waiting to happen. But there probably are other things also that, first of all, are non-native, and secondly, that are particularly explosive in terms of fires. And maybe one of the things we could consider doing is actually getting some arborists, some people who have expertise in the area to sort of make a list and do some educational stuff with,
Well,
just like.
One thing, and Melissa would remember this, at parks, we do have a list of trees that are suggested to be planted here.
For other reasons, though, I see.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was thinking of like the other side of that list, that things that probably are not a good idea. And specifically, if you call attention to the fact that they contribute to fire risk, because nobody wants that. Nobody wants the town to catch fire, even if they love their eucalyptus trees.
And when you look at the size of the existing one,
Oh, good Lord.
that's going to cover an enormous.
It's huge.
Yeah, it set 2 blocks on
distance.
fire.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, maybe that's something we can put on the agenda, council agenda for discussion.
At your request, we will.
Okay.
Thank you for your time and the opportunity to bring this forward to the council.
Really educational.
Yeah. All right, I think the next thing on our list is the food tax, our very favorite topic of the century. So who wants to start? Deb, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. So I noticed there's a lot of misinformation out there going around, especially with the restaurants, saying that it's basically that they're going to have to pay for it, and it's picking on them, and it's bad timing, and it's hard to overcome misinformation that takes a train, like a runaway train. Telling people, even Pig and Pancake has a sign up, and that the waitresses' tips are going to go down, and they're don't support the food tax. And I don't know it's like this going to a vote was such a bad idea, because what's happening is you've got all these people out there who are totally uneducated about the whole subject. They never really got educated about it, and now they're a runaway train. So it really makes me lose hope, and wondering what kind of energy is worth it, to fight this, because it's like, and where's the support about doing it? And I think you're harming Cannon Beach, to be honest with you. So I'm not talking to you personally. I'm just saying in general, it was a very unfortunate situation, I think. And yeah, it's not your favorite topic because it's an ugly topic now. and it's something that is divisive and feels awful. And I'm watching all of the misinformation going on Facebook about it and what people think. And like the restaurants are being done wrong. They really don't get it. They're not going to have to pay for the tax. It's a pass-through tax. And nobody has read all the research I did on Yachats and Ashland. I don't think they really care. They just want to be the victims in this and run away with it. So how do I get that information out there with the restaurants and Yachats and the mayor and all these people saying there's no problem, it's worked out well, our cities are thriving. And then you have this whole undercurrent of negativity going on. So my question is, what are you going to do if this doesn't pass?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't know the council hasn't talked about that yet, so I'm not sure. Robin, do you have any?
Well, I think both you and I talked about a blue ribbon committee as a possibility. If this tax doesn't pass, we'll open that up to see what kinds of directions people would like to pursue.
Right, but then you've got the fire department that's in an urgent situation, Robin. My husband's a firefighter. He knows what the problem is, and it's an urgent situation. You're putting the fire and the police in danger, and that's not fair to them. So blue ribbon committees can go on and on and on and kick the can down the road for another 50 miles and go nowhere. And it's really upsetting for us to put a lot of energy into this and have nobody listening to you.
Well, as you know, Deb, there is a support committee for the tax. I know you're very involved in that. So can you give us a little update on what the support committee is doing?
Well, you've got some of the best people in Cannon Beach on it. Everybody's upset that this had to go to a vote, of course, and they are all fighting the misinformation. Yes, we are involved. But we're also dealing with the restaurants and all that misinformation and trying to educate them. And I don't know if they want to be educated. I don't know if there's open-mindedness enough to even educate them. It's kind of like the situation in the rest of the political thing. There's the no tax people and there's the people that want a better community. And and want to grow and be progressive. And then there's the no tax people. And no matter what you do, there's going to be the no tax people. So I don't know how you overcome that. I wish that we could overcome it in our country too. But, you know, it's holding back our country. It's going to hold back Cannon Beach. It's holding a lot of, you know, and the tourists would be happy to pay because it's so little money. And it's just, I cannot believe how uneducated what I'm hearing is, and how the word was never out properly in the first place to educate them about it. We're going to do everything we can. But, you know, I need the support behind with the city and the councilors and everybody behind me, and all of them too. I mean, you got some of the best people, the medical people of the community are on this team, and they're all saying, we need this. Mark needs this. And doesn't anybody care? What, Robin, what do you think about that? I mean, what are we supposed to do with Mark, who's in a situation that's putting him in Russian roulette every day?
Melissa? The one thing I'd like to add about the tax issue is that when you consider who our tourists are, many of them are coming from Washington State and from the state of California. The residents, the people in those states live with taxes way, way more than a possible 5% on prepared foods. I think for people who say no one's even going to notice who's coming in and eating the prepared foods, it is going to have no impact on taxes, has been my experience for having lived in both of those states that do have a tax similar to that, only many times higher than the 5% I've heard being proposed here. That's all I wanted to add, is in terms of the people coming in here, they do not even know what this little fuss, which has become a big brouhaha, is all about.
Well, I think that's also been brought out by the surveys that Deb did of Ashland and Yachats, that people at their restaurants are saying, we pay a lot higher taxes where we live, you know, so it's a 5% tax, and it hasn't affected the operations of those restaurants. Rick?
Yeah, first of all, I really wasn't aware of the issue until recently, but I was at the last city council meeting and then I talked to Ken Potter and so forth. And I'm afraid what we have here is a no-win situation. I would absolutely favor the tax, but you're going up against pretty much the United restaurant industry, and they've convinced their servers and that everybody, you know, I know it's difficult to go out and eat in one of our restaurants now because you have to stand in line for so long. It's my issue, but everybody who waits on you, as the campaign gets closer, as the election day gets closer, they're going to be, they'll have the buttons on, they'll have, you know, they'll be talking to you the way, you know, just chatting. You can't beat the amount of face-to-face contact that they're going to present. Seems to me like probably what happened with this issue is we went into it backward. You kind of need to get the restaurant people on your side first, or at least neutral, before you go into something like this, because they are organized and because they have direct contact with people every day.
But they might not be in direct contact with voters. That's what matters now.
Well, they'll have, I mean, I'm a voter. When I go to the Driftwood, you know, I mean, every day when I go into the Sleepy Monk, and I do pretty much every day.
I see you there.
And they're talking about that issue. And I said, well, I think it's not a bad idea. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna get my coffee here, you know. I come from Virginia, and in Virginia, we had a sales tax in 1966 just to build the community college program. I lived in Virginia until 3 years ago, so I know for a fact that sales tax on prepared food does not reduce tips. It actually increases tips marginally, because everybody I know, everybody tips on the bottom line. Yep. They don't do they don't go to subtotal and do that. Amen. But misinformation, when it's effectively, you know, presented, and it is, and the people the people who are opposed to it believe what they believe. And until they're convinced differently, I think the risk is you lose the referendum and then you're going to have a hard time bringing it back again for 5 years.
Mhm.
Maybe it would be better just to pull back on this, raise parking tickets to $100 for some revenue and start an educational process where there's not a gun to their heads, basically. They don't want to lose. They think they're going to be heard. If there wasn't something pressing, there'd be time to do education where the stakes were lower. I don't know. Just my advice based on a lifetime in politics. I think we're going to probably lose.
Well, and Rick, I do agree with you that when I watch the hotel motel people all get together and make a choice to increase their taxes, it worked.
Yeah.
But when it's imposed upon someone and there isn't a real discussion, it can make it more difficult.
It's really important to do the groundwork first and the negotiation first before the thing is brought up. And again, if you lose, the thing that bothers me is that I see this as going down in November, and then it will be impossible to bring it back up. And we do need the revenue. I would rather spend a year educating and negotiating and, working out some kind of compromise and get it done rather than lose the issue completely because the people said no. And you know how that reads.
Well,
People have spoken.
one of the problems I think we're facing is that we need a considerable amount of money to cover the costs that we need to spend the money on,
I get it.
and including the fire district, which is at least $800,000 there.
Well, as I say, I'm entirely for it. I just don't think it's going to win. And then I think you won't have that option again for a long time.
What I'm concerned about is if it does lose, it loses the opportunity for the fire district to have the money that it needs for the medical and everything. So that means that we might have to raise property taxes or at least go to a vote. We'd have to vote for that too. And that's when, that's a heck of a lot of property taxes. This is something Betsy was referring to earlier. It's a heck of a lot of property taxes to raise because people didn't want to tax the day trippers that are coming in or the visitors that are coming in.
Yeah, well, like I say, I'm entirely with you. I just think the way it's set up, it will be very hard to win.
Right.
And if you lose, then you've lost the issue.
Yeah, I think Deb and her committee have a big mountain to climb.
Yeah.
Right, and not something I was planning to do for the next 3 months. Thank you very much. And it's going to be more than full time. And it's going to be a hell of a fight. And I'm going to be an ass in the city because I was the asshole and I don't like it. And that's not exactly how I wanted to move to Cannon Beach. So I just think, not because I am an asshole, but because I'll be made an asshole, because I will speak the truth about our medical care. Don't you guys care about our medical care? I mean, do you not care if your house burns down? Do you not care if you have a heart attack and call 911 and they can say, sorry, we don't have an ambulance for you today? I mean, it's happening in Texas right now. But anyway, I see that side of it because I was a nurse. And I'm just like, are we in that much denial? I mean, over a restaurant, not even getting charged?
Well, Deb, I think you're probably singing to the choir here.
I know, but I'm frustrated and I need support. I need support. And Robin, tell me, what are you going to do if your husband has a heart attack?
Yeah, well, I think we definitely all support you. And, we appreciate your efforts because we really do need to have this tax. So I think whatever we can do to support you, let us know.
Thank you.
Bruce.
Yeah, can I ask Rick a question? Well, first of all, I just want to say that the ground was laid for this. The fire chief went to the chamber. They had a meeting with the restaurant folks. So he's tried to do that. He's, gone out and met with an awful lot of people. So they really kind of started with the whole thing. But based on what I've seen, and the positions that have been taken. And you mentioned, possibly a compromise. What kind of compromise might you see?
Actually, I'm not thinking so much in terms of a compromise as I'm thinking about falling back in order to advance more effectively.
Okay.
It just seems to me like if the council voted it down, if the council voted for it, then it would be the law and that'd be the end of it. But the council voted it down. Going to it now, I have to say this, I'm not a big fan of referenda. Referenda are incredibly divisive. They get personal. People get dug in. And what I see happening is that people are getting dug in on both sides of this thing. There's not a lot of discussion going on. There's no education going on. And I absolutely honor everything you said about, people need to listen to this. The problem is, I'm not sure they're going to in the context of a few months down the road having a popular vote on it. I'm not sure that people are going to listen. I think they're just going to take sides, and then somebody will win, somebody will lose, and the people who lose will be unhappy. But the worst thing that I think could happen is that we lose, and then we have, and again, I've said this, so I hate to repeat myself, but there's something about being able to say the people have spoken that kills all discussion. It just has. Once the people have spoken, by God, that's it. Elections have consequences, you lose. And it would be nice to think we could get this thing passed through the normal course of business by the council somehow in the next year. In the meanwhile, sitting down calmly with the people who are against it, and when there's not an immediate contest, and trying to work it out. So I'm not a big fan of compromise. I'm a big fan of win-win. I think you need to work on win-win. But this is where we are. I see that we're going up against you. I'm perfectly willing to knock on doors and talk about the issue to people, but everybody who goes in a coffee shop or a restaurant is going to get lobbied for the last 6 weeks or so before the election. And you can't beat that kind of personal contact. You can't. The people who are bringing
I really like him. What's your name? Okay, I want you. I want to talk to you. Okay, I like you.
Sure. Absolutely. Nancy knows how to get in touch with me. I'm right down the
What is your
street
name?
from her.
What's your name?
Rick Gray, Gray.
You're my new friend. I like you. You make sense. You make sense.
Thank you.
I'll get you in touch.
Good.
You're my support for the day.
Well, see, I got up for some reason today.
Yeah, right. All right. It is after our time. I know Robin has to leave. She has some work she needs to get done in the North County. Good luck with that traffic.
Yeah.
And anybody, is there any last word? Just real quick last word on anything? All right. Well, it sounds like everybody is, the sound of silence is wonderful. My favorite song. So I guess we will call it quits today. I will be gone next month, but there might be another city councilor sitting in this chair. So goodbye, good luck, and thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.